Hey folks, this is Josh Taylor. I want to welcome you to another edition of Forex Trading for Beginners, a little mini video course that we're putting together of 20 to 30 videos that are going to show you in depth about how to trade Forex, especially for newbies, but even seasoned veteran traders can learn a lot from these videos. In today's video, we're going to talk about choosing the correct currency pairs for you, because this is really one of the questions we get asked probably the majority of the time is, I'm just getting started. Where do I start? What currency pair do I start with? So we'll talk about that a little bit. We're going to keep this video short. It's pretty easy. So if this is your first time with us, I want to thank you for watching this video. And I want to highly suggest that you sign up for our free Forex webinar training. It's going to go a little bit more in depth about how to make money in Forex, especially if you're new or if you're an intermediate trader. You definitely don't want to miss the information on that webinar. You can go to tradeadvisorpro.com/Forex to sign up right now. Register for free for the free Forex webinar training. I highly suggest you get on that. So let's go ahead and get started with today's training on how to choose a currency pair for you. Okay, so here I am at the charts, guys, and what I'm going to talk to you about on choosing a currency pair for you. And here's what I don't suggest to people is trying to trade too many currency pairs at once, especially if you're new or an intermediate trader. Unless you have a long-term track record of success and you've been really solid in your trading, I'm going to suggest that you choose one or two currency pairs and focus on those currency pairs. And trading these pairs, each one of these pairs has a personality of its own. It would be very similar to a person in a relationship you may have. You have friends that maybe you can tell your deepest secrets to, and other friends you're just more like buddies that you're going to hang out with, all right? So each one of your friends has different types of personalities. And these currency pairs are no different, okay? Each one of them has a different appetite for risk, for volatility, the number of pips for the daily range that they can pull. For instance, there is, and I don't have this on the chart because I don't trade a currency pair called the pound yen. It's the British pound against the Japanese yen. Because the volatility on that currency pair is outrageous. In fact, a friend of mine trades nothing but the pound yen, and he's very good at it. But for me, I tend to be about break even on that. I'll win 2 trades and I'll lose 2 trades, so I don't like that. And so what I've done is I choose currency pairs that I tend to click with. It's the same way when you build friendships, a marriage, or anything else. You have certain people in your life that you tend to just get along a little bit better with. And so when you're trading these pairs, I've traded a lot of different pairs, the standard Big Four, the cross pairs, and everything you can think of. And so I'm going to go through a handful of these currency pairs that I've got on my chart, the ones that I trade the most, my biggest 12, and tell you a little bit about each one. Some of them I'm not going to tell you a lot about, but some of the main ones we'll get into in depth. But let's start with this. If you're brand new in Forex, brand new, or you are a novice and you're still just trying to learn, unless you're using a pro signal service like our company offers. In fact, below this video you should be able to see a link to go to our pro signal service, which I highly suggest doing if you're really looking at taking tremendous amount of pips out of the market. We target 600 to 1,000 pips a month, where we send you the trades directly to your inbox. But if you're not doing that and you just want to learn how to trade Forex, what I'm going to highly suggest is you start with a handful of currency pairs that you can play with, okay? And here's some of my suggestions. The Euro US dollar. The Euro US dollar is probably one of the pairs that is the most predictable. It is not overly volatile, but it's volatile enough because you need some volatility in the market, right? If you have no volatility, I'll show you a currency pair that we're currently in. We've been in for a couple weeks. The Euro Swissy. Now, the reason the Euro Swissy is not very volatile, you'll see that it doesn't move a real lot, is because the Euro and the Swiss franc are pretty much usually in the same direction, so there's not a lot of movement. But we bought this pair right here. Our stop loss is way down in here somewhere, but we are expecting this pair eventually over time to run all the way back up to 12400. So this is going to be a long-term trade. We may be in this trade for 3 or 4 months. Okay, so this is a smaller, what we call a position trade. And so if you're looking for position trading opportunities, or if you're looking to scalp the market 20, 30 pips here and there, this is a very unvolatile currency pair to play with. But the problem is you can't get a lot of pips out of a pair like that. So the euro US dollar is a lot more predictable. It really works well off of the major support and resistance points, and it's probably one of the simpler currency pairs to trade. And so this is a currency pair. If you're brand new at Forex or just getting started, I would highly suggest, if you're trading on your own, that you focus on trading on this pair. Now here is another currency pair that I really like a lot. The Aussie dollar US dollar. Now this is a currency pair a little bit more aggressive than the euro US dollar, but is a pair that I really like. And another pair that I like that we're going to be doing a future training course. In fact, we've already developed it. We just haven't put it online yet. That is very, very in depth by a very good friend of mine, Chris Laurie, that is going to show you how to trade the Aussie yen. Okay, now this is, if you understand this currency pair alone and why this pair is so significant, this could be the only currency pair you would ever need to learn how to trade. And one thing about the Aussie yen will tell you that we only take long positions. That means we only buy. Ultimately, this currency pair, and I'll show you, I'll back off these charts. Eventually, it goes through corrections just like anything else, right? But long term, there is what we call overnight interest rate differentials that many Forex brokers pay. And you see that, like up here, this is the Aussie yen, right? Now, when we buy this pair, we're buying Aussie dollars and selling yen. Now, here's the thing. The Australian dollar has one of the highest overnight interest rate payments. I mean, when you hold positions on an Australian dollar buy position, you get overnight interest in your account. And the yen has one of the lowest. So when you buy this currency pair, you get one of the highest levels of overnight interest rate by holding onto a position than it's the highest of any currency pair. So normally when you're trading different currency pairs, you are looking to buy at a point. Let's say we're going to buy, we have a stop loss down here, and we're going to close profit up here. When we close profit is when we take profit. But on this currency pair and many others, but this one especially because of the interest rate is so high on the Aussie compared to the yen, that when you're buying this position, this whole drive up here for 3 weeks, you would have been getting, let's say we bought here and we were going to close our profit here, we would have taken gotten daily interest payments every single day from majority of the better brokerage firms out there, because you held on to the position. So this is what's called a carry trade, and we're going to get more in depth on a training video course, a very complete training video course that we're going to be doing here shortly. That is complete, but we haven't launched it yet. So you will definitely want to keep an eye out for that. But anyway, so those are 3 different currency pairs that you can look at. But again, I would start with the Euro US dollar. Now let's look at a couple of the other currency pairs. We looked at the Euro Swissy, not very volatile, more for position trade as it moves into a different position. The CAD yen is a lot more volatile. In fact, any currency pair that is a yen cross pair can be pretty volatile. So if you're brand new, I would not stick with that. Now, the Euro Swissy is usually a pretty laid back currency pair, and it's usually on the opposite end of the Euro US dollar. In fact, if you compare the charts, notice how this has gone up, squared off, and come back down. Well, the Euro Swissy used to be exact opposite. Now it's not quite the same, but it's pretty close. You can see how it's come down, cut across, back up. It's almost the opposite of the euro. But don't trade both pairs at once. If you decide to sell this currency pair now and buy the other currency pair at the same time, yes, you could take 2 different trades and 2 different potential winning opportunities, but also 2 potential losing opportunities. So I try not to trade one of those pairs, both those pairs at the same time. Now here's a pair that I love, and this is the pound dollar. Now this currency pair moves usually in the same direction. So when the pound dollar is going down, the euro dollar is also usually going down. But this currency pair is a lot more volatile than the euro US dollar. So if you're just getting started, or if you haven't had a ton of success in Forex, I'm going to suggest you start with the euro, and once you get good at it, play with this, but the pound dollar usually has a range of 180 to 225 pips in a day. In fact, we can look at one of these candles here, and you can see it went from 59, about 57, all the way to 58.80. So this currency pair in that day moved 188 pips. About 180 pips. So, you know, it runs a couple hundred pips a day. The euro is not quite as strong. The euro is strengthened over the last few years. It used to actually move less than it does these days. It's, what we're looking at here, low of 29, about 29.75 to 31. So this, yeah, that pair moved almost 180 pips in that range as well. So it used to be that the euro used to move less. It's gotten more volatile. But anyway, the pound dollar is an excellent pair to trade. I've done very well with that over many, many years. But it's a lot more volatile. It can tend to just shift on you. But that's part of the game. There's risk in Forex. There's no guarantee of winners. There's risk, and but our goal is here in trading Forex is to try to choose the highest and most probable winning opportunities we can, and at the same time following an equity management game plan that helps us minimize our risk. You are going to lose trades, guaranteed, but your goal is to make sure your winners are bigger than your losers and your total overall wins and percentage gains are higher than your losses. And if you can do that and manage that long term, you'll be successful as a trader. So it looks like the USD CAD. And at certain times, the dollar against the Canadian dollar is an unbelievable pair to trade. Other times, it becomes a pain in the butt. So it goes through cycles where it's really great to trade this pair, and we go through cycles where I back out of it for a while. We talked about the Aussie pairs, the Aussie against US dollar and the Aussie yen. And then we have the US dollar yen. Again, not as volatile as some of the other currency pairs that are yen cross pairs, but again, if it ends with yen, I would highly suggest that you make sure you have some skill under your belt because they can move. Now here's the toughest ones. The euro yen, the pound yen, and the Aussie yen are the most aggressive pairs that we trade. Okay. So those cross pairs I would be very careful of, especially the pound yen and the euro yen. Make sure you're highly skilled before you start trading those pairs because they can rocket really quick. Hundreds of pips in a day are very common. In fact, this currency pair moved 150 pips that day. Let's see, this day it moved let's see, a little over 200, but a lot more volatile. So if you're brand new at Forex, I would not highly suggest you choose that trade, that currency pair to work with. But I would start with the euro dollar and learn to understand the euro dollar. Learn to play with it a little bit and learn to understand how the market works with that pair. Now here's a pair that I absolutely love. Now this is the euro pound, because the euro pound pretty much move together to some extent most of the time. This currency pair, and I talk about this in one of our training videos, and I say this all the time, that these currency pairs 80% of the time trade in a range. Now the yen cross pairs do less range trading than some pairs, but the euro pound tends to trade in a range very, very well. In fact, as you look at this chart right now, you can see these different ranges that I've drawn out. And for a several month period that this currency pair ranged all the way in here, a lot of buy sell opportunities. It broke into a new range, actually two ranges, here and then here, and we've been trading this range now for quite some time, for the last month and a half or so, and I've won every single trade, 0 losing trades on this. And so currently we got in this currency pair yesterday at 83.30. So right in here, right, we knew it would always usually blow past this trend line. So we came down and we bought it right here, right when it broke right past the trend line, and now it's working its way back up. You can see how it's curving back up, and here we go. And we'll probably take this profit all the way up into this range right around in here. Okay. So the euro pound is great to trade with. It's easy visually to see, is why I like it. But so the euro pound is a good potential, and the euro US dollar is probably the currency pair you need to get to know. Okay, so that's it for today's training video. If you have any questions, send us a support email. We'd be glad to answer any questions you've got. and happy trading.